A woman named Vera is locked in a tightly closed room. Despite being locked up, she gets the facilities she needs such as proper food, clothes, books, as well as a television, but with limited programs only. She has been kept in the room for years by a skin surgeon named Robert, who is conducting experiments by creating a new generation of skin from pig skin. The skin will be resistant to fire, burns, skin diseases, and various external pollutants that people usually experience. Despite scrutiny from his colleagues, Robert experiments the new generation of skin on Vera, and it actually works. Robert tests it with fire and mosquito bites, but Vera doesn't feel a thing. In the evening, Robert arrives at his house. In his room, Robert watches Vera as she relaxes while reading a book. Seeing the beauty of her body, Robert approaches Vera, who is dressed in a special kind of stockings made by Robert. This stocking is to protect the adjusting new skin generation which Robert has implanted on her. When they meet, Vera seduces Robert into starting a more intimate relationship, not wanting her to be just a guinea pig for his experiments. Robert is almost tempted, but suddenly refuses the invitation and leaves. The next day, Robert is having breakfast prepared by his maid, Marilia. While eating his breakfast, Marilia expresses her concerns regarding Vera, who turns out to be a kidnapped victim. Marilia warns Robert that if he doesn't kill her, then he will have to keep Vera hidden forever. It will certainly become a problem if one day people become suspicious and find out about the woman. Hearing this, Robert becomes worried and fires all the other helpers in his house. When the maids leave the house, a man in a tiger costume named Zeka walks towards the house and insists on entering. He is Marilia's son who has turned into a fugitive for robbery. Marilia forbids Zeka from entering, but Zeka continues to force his mother to let him in. When Zeka says that he is hungry and wants to eat his mother's cooking, his mother then melts and lets him in. After eating and having chats with his mother, Zeka sees the CCTV screen showing Vera exercising gracefully. Curious, Zeka asks his mother to show him where the woman is. Because her mother knows Zeka's criminal nature, her mother immediately takes a gun and points it at him, ordering him to leave. Unfortunately, Marilia is gagged and the gun is accidentally fired. Vera hears the gunshot, she starts to feel something is wrong out there. After that, Zeka instead ties his mother up and forces her to give him the key to Vera's room. When Zeka finds Vera's room, Vera rushes and kicks the door until Zeka falls. Seeing this, Vera immediately runs away but is caught by Zeka. Vera falls and Zeka climbs on top of her, kisses her all over, and tears off her tight clothes. At that moment, Zeka asks how Vera survived as he thinks that Vera is dead. Vera, who can't do anything, is forced to obey Zeka's request to spend the time with him. The tied-up mother can only watch it on the CCTV screen in shock. Shortly after, Robert returns home. How shocked he is when he sees Marilia being held captive and seeing Zeka forcing himself on Vera. Therefore, Robert goes straight to Vera's room and shoots Zeka dead. After the incident, Vera and Marilia are chatting in front of the bonfire. Marilia reveals that both Robert and Zeka are her sons from different fathers, making them half-brothers, but they don't know about it. Zeka is a son of a co-worker, and has lived on the streets since childhood, explaining his criminal wild nature. In contrast to Robert, he is born to Marilia's past employer. Therefore, Robert gets a decent life and education. 12 years ago, Zeka came to the house as a fugitive. He asked Robert and Marilia to stay and hide in the house. Robert's wife, who was still alive back then, finds out about Zeka. Unexpectedly, without Robert's knowledge, they turned out to fall in love. The love relationship turned so real that they enjoyed their time together. Therefore, Zeka and Robert's wife decided to run away from Robert. Unfortunately, the car they were driving had an accident and caught on fire. Zeka escaped and left Robert's burning wife there. Luckily, Robert's wife survived the fire, but her face and body is beyond repair. To keep her from the shock, Robert breaks all the mirrors in the house. Robert had also been dedicating his life to be a plastic surgeon. That's what motivated Robert to create the latest generation of skin that is fire resistant. One time, Robert's wife was helpless in bed, and for the first time got up and walked. She wanted to see their daughter playing outside, but was very shocked upon seeing herself in the window. Unable to accept reality, she jumped from her bedroom window and died. At that time, their daughter Norma saw her mother jumping out the window and making her traumatized. Since then, Norma has had a phobia of being around the crowd and isolated herself. Back to the present, Robert arrives home after burying Zeka's body. For the first time, Robert sees Marilia and Vera chatting and getting along. Having fallen in love with her, Robert invites Vera inside to enjoy their time together. The two finally fall asleep and Robert has a dream from 6 years ago. At that time, Norma had recovered from her mental illness and decided to join a crowded party with Robert. Robert kept an eye on Norma because that was the first time he took Norma to the crowd. At the same time, Norma saw a handsome man named Vicente at the party. Vicente also saw her and the two fell in love at first sight. On the other hand, Vera also has a dream. She dreams of Vicente too, the handsome young man who worked as a fashion designer in his mother's clothing store. One day, He asked his mother for permission to go to a party, where he met Norma and fell in love. The two sneaked out of the room and went to the bushes. However, as Vicente was aggressively crawling all over Norma, she got anxious and panicked due to her trauma. She screamed, and Vicente slapped her and she fell unconscious. Vicente dressed himself first, before tidying Norma up, then left on his bike. Meanwhile, Robert, who was out looking for Norma, saw Vicente leaving the scene. He found his daughter lying unconscious and woke her up. When Norma came to her senses, she screamed in fright because of her trauma. Robert sought Vicente to take revenge for what had happened to his daughter. Robert managed to track Vicente down and followed him on his way. Already feeling irritated, he bumped into his bike and shot him unconscious. After that, Robert kidnapped him and locked him underground. The next day, Robert went to visit Norma at the hospital. Norma's mental state worsened when Robert wanted to approach her. Norma had been very traumatized by men, therefore she was also afraid of her father and shut herself in the closet. As her mental state kept getting worse, Norma died. Feeling that his revenge wasn't enough, Robert came to Vicente, who was kept underground. There, Vicente repeatedly told Robert that this was just a misunderstanding and he didn't force himself on Norma. However, Robert didn't pay attention to it. For months, Vicente was confined and chained underground, and was only given water and few food to keep him alive. Day by day, his body grew thinner due to the poor living conditions. Robert then decided to shave Vicente's already thick mustache and beard. From then on, he decided to go further, performing penectomy on Vicente and transforming him into a woman. After the operation was over, Vicente saw her new self and inevitably had to accept the reality that had happened to her. Robert was then feeling lonely due to his wife and daughter's death, so he performed facial surgery on Vicente, making her look like his late wife. After the operation was complete, Vicente turned into a beautiful woman. From there, Robert gave him a new name, Vera, the exact same woman we have known from the start. At first, Vera rebelled and tried to run away several times. However, because of the constant intimidation, Vera couldn't do anything about it and eventually became a slave to Robert's ambitions. Back to the present, right after Robert and Vera enjoyed their time together, the two wake up in the morning. Vera makes breakfast for Robert, as if she were his housewife. It makes Robert feel alive again and begins to free her to get out and get some fresh air. Marilia, who also knows Vera's true identity, is strongly against the idea, but Robert doesn't heed her words. Having been treated as Robert's wife truly changes Vera. She now has fully accepted Robert as her husband and enjoys her time outside. She is given the freedom to go shopping and even joins Robert at his bed every day. That night, Vera takes the initiative to use the lubricant she had bought earlier. Upon roaming around the house, she accidentally sees her past self as Vicente, filed as a missing person. At that time, she is reminded of her true identity and decides to change her fate. She takes a gun from a drawer and points it to Robert. While holding him at gunpoint, she states that her dignity as a man can't be changed even though Robert has turned him into a woman. Robert tries to reason with her, but she doesn't listen and shoots him to death. Marilia, who is sleeping, suddenly wakes up hearing the gunshot. Later, Marilia comes to their room and sees Robert dead, covered in blood. She panics but soon is shot by Vera too to death. At the end of the story, after successfully killing Robert and Marilia, Vera leaves there and heads back to her house. When she arrives at her house, she feels a very deep longing. At the same time, she is also confused because she doesn't know what to say to her mother and sister. Meeting her sister and mother makes her cry joyfully, but Vera is also afraid that they won't accept her back. Her sister approaches her and asks who she is. She then explains who she really is and even mentions their past together to convince her. The sister and mother who have missed her so much finally accept her for who she is now, and the three live happily together. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.